Hey, good morning, everybody. This is your Klahowya for Friday, September 18th, 2020. Hope these videos get a little easier for us to share as time goes on. Hey, this week we had our first DLT meeting of the year, or of the new school year, and our primary focus was on coming up with a district standard of care for what parents can expect from all of us on a daily basis, and also give us a way to limit expectations of us for what we're going to be providing. There are 5 points to this standard of care. Most will be of no surprise to you. The first is a full week of assignments and schedule for the week by 9 a.m. on Mondays, or the first day of the week if we have a holiday. This means that you're going to provide for all of your students what they can expect from the instruction for the full week by Monday morning. This gives families an opportunity to plan their schedules and make adjustments for them personally. The second one is a daily opportunity to have synchronous contact with all the students' assigned teachers. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're assigned to 6 teachers at the high school, let's say, but you're only Zooming with 3 of them on a particular day, that you're supposed to see all 6. No, it means that the 3 that you're assigned to, you'll have an opportunity to have synchronous contact with them. If you have questions about this, please talk to either your DLT representative or your principal. But essentially, it's a way for us to make sure that the kids are developing relationships with us in spite of the distance. The third thing is daily participation and progress that we expect from each student in each class. How you do this is up to you, but every student needs to have some kind of an expectation from them for each day. The fourth one is daily attendance, that we will record daily attendance. And we've been doing that with any proof of life. So if you get an email, if you see a face on a Zoom screen, a telephone call, an assignment, any proof of life, you can count as attendance. Now, at the high school, you've been recording any proof of life in any period equals attendance for the day. And I understand that you'd prefer to do it period by period, and I agree with that. I think that's a better way to do it. It's a little more difficult. Our numbers aren't going to look as good as they do. At the high school, with our current way of doing it, we have 80% perfect attendance. I don't think that accurately reflects what's really going on. But in any event, we need to record attendance daily. And the final one is that each lesson has a learning target. And this is no surprise. We've been doing this for years. If you have any questions, again, get with your principal, get with your DLT representative, or give me a shout. Happy to explain. Please don't try to overthink this. These are pretty straightforward. And there's no gotchas in here at all. This is a way for us to say to parents, this is what you can expect from us. And it's also a way if a parent says, hey, how come I didn't get my Shakespeare lesson today? For us to say, well, that's not part of our standard of care. While you may get a Shakespeare lesson at some point, we're not obligated to do that, and we don't plan to do that. I want to talk about, I've gotten a lot of positive emails and words of kindness this week. People have called me, people have sent me emails, and people have just stopped me when they see me out in public. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. All of our work is difficult right now, and those words of encouragement definitely touch my heart. I've heard from several teachers this week that they feel like they're getting the hang of this. And I knew it. I knew that was going to happen. We are a strong team, and we're not even a month into this thing yet. So, hooray for us. I want you to know your students notice it too. Nick Marty last night at the board meeting talked about the students that he's talked to who say that the difference between what we were doing in the springtime during crisis and what we're doing now is like night and day. So keep doing what you're doing, keep getting better. It's tremendous. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to talk about with standard of care is standard of care is a floor. It's a bottom limit of what we're going to provide. So I expect that many of us are going to go above that. What I'm asking is that none of us go below those points on the standard of care. I've got some good news about what's coming. The public health folks have said they'd like schools in Lewis County to consider bringing kindergartners back to school, or actually bringing them into school for the first time. And we got authority from the board last night to do that no earlier than September 28th, which is consistent with public health. The kindergarten staff has been working on their plan for bringing kindergartners in. We've surveyed our kindergarten families, and all out of 57 kindergartners, all but 3 plan to return to the building. Now, the specifics of how much time they're going to spend in the building and all of that awaits our response team meeting on Monday, where we're going to get into the weeds on bringing kids back to school, at least this first group. Now, we're also going to be able to have, it's not meaningful for us because of construction, but we're going to be able to have CTE, like shop and metal shop, come back in groups of 5 or less for lessons that they can't really do at home. It's pretty tough to teach a kid how to use a table saw when they don't have one. And now that won't be the case for things like business or family and consumer science necessarily, but for those things that just cannot be taught virtually, public health is saying that we can bring CTE folks back. Similarly, science labs, will be able to do those. Now, it's not very meaningful right now for the high school because the shop is in disarray, and the science lab, I'm not sure what its condition is. It may have significance for middle school science, but nonetheless, the board gave us authority to do that last night. So I'm really excited to begin to have kids back in the building again. I posted an update to my COVID blog. I'm going to try to do that on a weekly basis on Fridays, along with the other updates that I do. I think that some of the discontent that you're hearing in the community is due to when people don't know the story, they make up a story. And so I think if I keep that blog updated, I think that's going to help folks feel a little more confident in what's going on and not make up as many stories. My blog is at, the COVID blog is at toledoschools.blogspot.com. There's also a link to it from the Facebook page. I want to give a shout out to the elementary school. I am stunned that you've been able to complete STAR testing already. I mean, that's hard to do by this time in regular circumstances. Doing it now is amazing. What that does for us is it tells us kind of, where our kids are with some caveats. It tells us where our kids are, and you've been able to get started on core curriculum and doing interventions and things like that. That's tremendous. Now, the fact that some of your second graders are reading at the 7th grade level, I think indicates that maybe their parents aren't doing as well as we'd hope. With their reading skills, may not say anything about their second grader, however. Attendance, truancy appears that it's going to be an issue for us. I appreciate everyone being so attentive to attendance, pun intended. The truancy board, we have a truancy board, it's our board of directors. And I've alerted them that they are likely to have more work than they planned on in the coming month. It's important that we get that list of folks to me so I can begin working with the board, we may need to plan some special sessions to consider these things. I've ordered hotspots from US Cellular, about 30, and I ordered another 15 from Verizon to go along with the 75 T-Mobile devices that we already have. We've begun to deploy those. Unfortunately, some people are just not coming in to pick them up. The US Cellular and Verizon hotspots should be here. I'm expecting US Cellular this week. I'm surprised they're not here already. And Verizon in probably a couple of weeks. Not going to hit our goal of having everyone connected to the internet by the end of the month. We're still trying to get in touch with some families, but we're getting closer, and we're going to keep going until we get there. I just want to talk about the in-person return to school. There are some folks who'd like us to open the buildings now and bring everybody back, and say to those families that don't want to do that, fine, you can stay home and get distance instruction. I anticipate that we're going to be able to do some of that. In fact, kindergarten is already preparing to do that. But I think that's going to be difficult, and I don't mind telling families that, you know, it's unrealistic to expect a teacher to teach a full week's worth of lessons in person and then teach a full week's worth of lessons online in the same amount of time that you provide for in-person instruction. I just don't think that's realistic. And I think it's been our practice in the United States to just expect educators to do whatever is necessary, regardless of what happens to them in the process. So I'm pushing back on that. We are going to provide, if we're going to be doing hybrid instruction, we're going to be providing time for teachers to do that and reducing the time of that students are on campus. So the response team is still working on that. We have it in our plan already that's posted on our website in the COVID section, but we'll be refining that as we go along. And I just want to assure you that nobody is going to be expected to do double duty because of some pesky virus. One of the phrases that we've always used in schools, but we tend to forget when it applies to adults, is that what's right isn't always popular, and what's popular isn't always right. Right now, it's popular for people to want to have their kids in the building, but I'm not convinced that that's what's the right thing to do for kids. And while we can disagree on what's best for kids, it's always going to guide our work. And I want to just remind you of some of the things. I have a document that's titled "What You Can Expect from Me." And I've used it now for just about 20 years to kind of introduce myself. But I want to come back to some, and I think most of you have gotten a copy of this. But I want to take you back to some of the things that are on that list, just to kind of ground you in how I'm making decisions. So what you can expect from me: to make decisions based on what's best for kids, to make decisions based on research and data, to treat people the way I would want to be treated, to include you in the decision-making process and to hold you accountable for following through with the decisions we make, to tell the truth, to focus and simplify the work that we do so that it can be done effectively, to not expect anyone else's child to experience something that I wouldn't allow my own children to experience, to uphold the highest standards of professional conduct and practice at all times, to lead based on principles, to work hard and be effective, to talk to children as though their parents were always in the room with me, to be open to coaching from all, to work every day for the betterment of the people, programs, and professionalism of our school without excuses. I share that with you because sometimes our motives get questioned when people aren't getting what they want. And I think it's helpful for you to know how I'm approaching all of this work and how I'm approaching working with you and supporting you in your efforts on behalf of children and families. So we got another week in the books. another step closer to having our kids back with us. I tell families nothing would give us more pleasure than to have the children back in the buildings in person so that we could slow down and start working the regular shifts. This is hard work, and I don't know about you, but I'd like to take it a little easier. And if the kids were back in the buildings, we sure would. But until they are, I know that all of us are gonna put our best foot forward and keep going. I know even on our team, we don't have universal agreement about this decision, but I want you to know that at the base of it is a lot of careful consideration, a lot of conversations with many people who have different points of view. A lot of it has to do with the science and the recommendation of people who have more education when it comes to public health than we do. And while we may disagree again on what's best for kids, I want you to know that that's always the base of everything we do. All right. Have a great weekend.